Have you ever noticed that whenever there's a scary new disease, the first thing people do is quarantine? Lock yourselves up and stay away from each other like teenagers avoiding their parents. But here's the surprise, quarantine isn't some modern invention. The word in English comes from 40 days in Italian. During the Black Plague of 14th century Venice, to prevent the spread of disease, ships arriving from infected areas were required to remain isolated for 40 days before being allowed to enter the city. And this was to prevent the spread of disease. But it wasn't just the Italians who had this idea. The Chinese were doing it over 2,000 years ago. Confucius and the Sick Student. Let's start with Confucius, the big guy in Chinese philosophy. One of his favorite students got really sick. Confucius wanted to visit him, but here's the twist. He didn't go inside of the house. He just stayed outside, held the student's hand through the window, and basically said, "Man, why did it have to be you?" Scholars today think that that student may have had leprosy, a highly contagious disease, which means Confucius could have been practicing some of the world's earliest social distancing. Talk about a wise teacher. The first official quarantine spots. Archaeologists digging up ancient Chinese texts found something amazing. In the Qin Dynasty, that's over 2,200 years ago, they found evidence of an ancient quarantine camp. Basically, if prisoners got sick, they were shipped off to special quarantine camps so the illness wouldn't spread to everyone else. So yeah, ancient China had its own version of COVID hotels. Quarantine goes military. By the Eastern Han Dynasty, things leveled up. General Hang Fu Gui was leading troops in the far west when his soldiers started dropping like flies from disease. Did he panic? Nope. They set up little wooden huts called anlu. Basically, field hospitals for contagious soldiers. Fun fact, that's the first recorded military quarantine hospital in Chinese history. Imagine being a soldier, you wanted glory, but you ended up in a wooden shed. Not exactly the hero's journey. But quarantine wasn't always so gentle. In the Eastern Jin, a man with leprosy was literally dumped in a cave in the mountains with some food and water and left there. Ancient social safety net? More like good luck, buddy. For families, it was tragic. For the sick, it was a slow and lonely death. Quarantine saved the community, but at a terrible cost. Quarantine gets organized. By the Tang Dynasty, things started to look more familiar. They had actual dedicated leper wards where men and women were kept separate, often run by temples. Later, the government stepped in and said, "Okay, let's make this official." Then, in the Song Dynasty, they built disease houses, proto-hospitals, where doctors treated patients and even sold medicine at affordable prices. Famous writer Su Dongpo, a guy known for poetry and pork belly recipes, personally set one up during an outbreak in Hangzhou. So yes, the man could cook, write poetry, and run public health projects. That's one heck of a resume. Lessons from the past. Now, were these ancient methods of quarantine perfect? No. They didn't know about bacteria or viruses. Their best advice was open the windows or don't share clothes. But still, quarantine was their most effective weapon against outbreaks. And here's the thing, even today when new diseases show up, what's the first tool we reach for? Isolation, quarantine, staying apart. It's the oldest trick in the book, but it's the oldest trick in the book because it works. So next time you're at home, quarantining yourself because you've caught the flu and are feeling miserable, just remember, at least you're not locked in a mountain cave with nothing but the clothes on your back, a bag of rice, and a prayer.